Welcome to our Shield of the Sun video. This is Bruce Lee and the Martial Arts, Part 7. And if you haven't watched the first videos, go back and watch them so you may know where we're at. So during the making of Fist of Fury, Lee was among a crowd of Hong Kong starlets, other actors and actresses, who led wild and sexual immoral lifestyles. This crowd was a bad influence on a family man like Bruce was, and this influence only became worse. When the Big Boss, aka Fist of Fury, first opened at the world premiere in Hong Kong, it was an instant success. The fans were pumped and energized, and they went completely bonkers at the feeling of violent adrenaline the film produced. That night, Lee became a bona fide world Hong Kong star, and that night he put the Hong Kong film industry on the map. The fans went crazy over him, and they actually did carry him out of the theater in thunderous applause. This newfound fame of overwhelming proportions did change Bruce Lee's perceptions. Bruce started to hang out more with the other Hong Kong stars. He started to be involved in revelry at clubs, and even though he did smoke pot in his Hollywood days, he began to smoke more stronger forms of cannabis, like hashish, and also he was smoking opium. Drugs had an awful effect on Bruce Lee. It made him a completely different person sometimes, even animalistic, and he was very egotistical when he was high. He often became completely demon-possessed during these drug and party bashes, to the point that when he came out of it, he could not remember what he did. During this time, he also cheated on his wife with many Asian actresses, models, singers, and prostitutes that also caused more fights for him. Linda was a good wife. She didn't deserve that, and she was fearfully worried about Bruce as well. Making these films in Hong Kong and being involved in the Hong Kong night scene started to take an ugly toll on Lee's responsibility to his family. His son Brandon and his daughter Shannon were very, very young, and they needed him, and often because of this kind of work and lifestyle he neglected them, and he knew it, and he regretted it. But there were many times he would come back to his senses and seek and spend time with his kids. Not as often as he should have, but he did at times manage to do so. Bruce was a kind and loving parent to his children. He taught them and educated them, and when he played with them, he reached them on their level and played in their world. Linda at this time was struggling with her husband's absence and behavior. She felt that the move to Hong Kong and its influence caused this behavior, and in many ways she was right. She tried to cope with it, even live with it, but toward the end she wanted to go back home, and she was trying to convince Bruce to do the same. After Fist of Fury, Bruce would go on to do another film that was also a worldwide smash hit, and quickly began to film another film called The Chinese Connection. At this time, Satan wanted Bruce Lee to be introduced to the inner circle of the Lee Illuminati family by making Bruce Lee a member of the Triad Syndicate Agency. This occurrence took place at the Hong Kong Film Studio one early evening when Bruce was filming The Chinese Connection. When the counselors of the Triads came, they offered Lee gifts and respect and asked to speak with them in private. Lee took them to a private room where they can talk, and to which Lee spoke with them at first because he was curious as to who they are. But soon the Triad members revealed themselves to Lee as being what Lee would know as the Chinese Mafia, and they told him they were the secret group known as the Triads. Bruce did know about the Triads ever since he was a child, but he never knowingly met them until that day. He only knew them indirectly. The Triads revealed to Bruce that they had been watching him, and that they had a hand in making him famous. They told him that his father worked for them, and that a deal was done that would one day Bruce would fulfill his father's pact with them, and become a member of the Triads. They revealed to Bruce that they were related to him by blood relations, and that the God of their ancestors wishes for Bruce to fulfill his destiny and to apply his skills to work for the inner workings of the Triad family. They also revealed to him that they were the ones who really ran the Hong Kong industry, and that they had immense pull in the Hollywood industry to make both industries work for him. They told Bruce that it was a rare honor to be asked to join the Triads, and that refusal was not wise. Once this soaked in for Lee, his mind quickly realized some things, that these people were the ones who had been following him and his family, and also they were horrible people who committed brutal and savage crimes against people, and also he realized at that moment they killed his father and caused problems in his life. Lee held his temper and made a very brave and soul-saving decision. He told them no, and that he learned a long time ago not to be anyone's slave. He refused to be controlled by men, let alone men he clearly did not respect. Once he told them no, the Triad counselors became offended and indifferent toward him. They got up from the table and looked at Lee and threatened to kill him and his family in a way that he would never see coming, and then they left the studio. Bruce then called his family and took a day off to be with them. He never told them about the conversation. He only spoke to the producers about it to find out about their involvement with them. The producers, who were his partners, lied to him about it and said they didn't know what he was talking about, and they acted offended to drop the conversation, leaving Lee with the deep paranoia that now he cannot trust anyone. After that meeting, the Triads wanted to quickly kill him, but Satan, speaking through the inner leaders of the Illuminati family, told them that Satan was not done using him yet. Satan wanted more martial art pictures out of him, and in the meantime, they could use scare tactics to try to make Bruce Lee change his mind. When Satan was done with them, then Satan would allow them to kill him. So from that time on, Bruce became a marked man. One day when Bruce was wrapping up the final scenes in the Chinese Connection, there came a scene where Bruce was to leap in the air while a hail of bullets takes out the character in the final scene.